So Trish, why don't we start on a 20-meter circle at V to P? V. V to P.
Is that a walk or?
Walking, yeah. So the three phases of the warm-up, which applies to today, but also when you're in competition, would be 1, relax your horse. Number 2, get him supple. And number 3, responding to the aids, forward from the leg, coming back from the half hole. And sometimes you go to a competition and you go to the warm-up and everyone's just flying around, round and round and round, and you kind of just join them. But I think it can help you be successful today and in competition if you think of those 3 phases. So right now we're trying to relax her a little bit, and relaxation comes in 2 forms. Her emotion, you know, what's going on between her ears, and tension in her body. So because we want to concentrate on the relaxation for the first few minutes, we like to work in a low frame. The reason is she cannot lower her head down into a low frame. Not really a stretchy frame, but more like a free walk. She can't do that if she can't get that position if the muscles behind the saddle and the top line are tight or contracted. So as she goes lower and lower, it tells me that her body is starting to loosen up and to give and to relax. Second of all, the other reason why we like to work in a low frame is to create the correct throat latch angle, so when we pick her up into competition frame. So at the moment here, that throat latch angle, where the jaw meets the neck, is a little bit on the tight side. And that's very difficult to see from where you're sitting, so it's nice to have eyes on the ground or a video to check. So you just gave the rein a little bit there and opened up that throat latch angle, which looks good. Okay, Trish, let's go the other direction. Oh, the trains are busy today. I like how loose and relaxed your back is, your lower back, because that means your seat is not creating any friction in the saddle. It's just moving, almost massaging her back as you go ahead and walk. So what you're doing with your body is really helping her to slow down and lower the energy and start to relax. So the other thing that helps the muscles to relax is we talked about lowering the pole. The other thing is lateral bend. So we are in a circle, and in the directives, whenever you're on a circle, it does say the requirement for bend. And I think the bend that most people think is correct isn't enough. There's 2 components to the bend. In the body, I sometimes refer to banana bend. It's like a banana sitting on the kitchen table. It's your inside leg is influential in creating that bend. And the bend goes up the neck, and then in the jaw we call that flexion. So it's possible I could say to you, Trish, the bend is good, but we need more flexion. So it's really the nose position inwards. No, I noticed you're doing shoulder forward, which I don't mind as an exercise, but no, simply we maintain the straightness. In other words, the right hind follows the right front, but just with a slight position of the nose inwards. everything's looking very good except she's extremely overbent. And we never really want to train any horse in this way. We can have them in what we call a position that's deep. That means the pole is low with a strong element of submission or roundness, but never behind the vertical so that throat latch angle is tight. So I can see that you have a light contact and you're encouraging her to push her nose forward. So, but she's not really taking the contact forward.
No, yeah, it's kind of been our struggle. She's half Frisian.
Yeah.
So she wants to just go into that
Yes.
tight up.
Yeah. Really?
Neck carriage.
Yeah, I can see that. She's, it's not the way you're riding her, but sometimes every now and then you just want to lift the pole up with an upward half halt and then give her the rein and see if you can start all over again, because once she gets in that tight frame, you really can't change it, I don't think, too much. So get her up, get her out, and then lower her again. That's good. That's good. So there are some exercises we can do to get the neck up and out. Counter canter works to get them up and out. We can do some exercises in the walk. That's better. The other thing that will help, Trish, is if you consider the normal biomechanics of the way a horse walks. The nose goes forward and backwards. If you look at those horses walking up and down the fence line, the nose is forward, and it just is a movement in the head and neck about 2 or 3 centimeters. They don't walk with their head absolutely frozen still. And as a rider, we have to follow that motion, and again, it's just 2 centimeters with our hands, and it's the elbows, if you look at me, that open and close and allow that. But she's not doing that because of her curling. But there's not to say that she can't learn that. And I would say the best place to train that is out trail riding. Just let her on a long rein and see if you can get her to stretch forward. And then it's your job to learn the following hand. So Trish, if you could stay in this 20 meters area, but we're now going to go onto a square instead of a circle. And in each corner of the square, I'd like you to not make it so deep, but round it off a little bit and show a little more bend through the body. I noticed when you were just warming up and you changed the rein in the walk, you really love the outside rein in direct rein. For me in the warm-up phase, Trish, just look at me. If I was changing the rein, Trish, look at me. If I was changing the rein in the walk, you want to do almost like a half turn on the haunches. I exaggerate the bend. Bending left, bending right. I want you to think of this phase as horse yoga, physiotherapy, improving her range of motion. That was good bending. And now, Trish, we're going to turn it into a quarter turn on the forehand. So keep bending like you are, but push the haunches out to the left. And then straight ahead and pattern. Okay, very nice response to the leg. Well done. And flexion right, and then haunches go left. Good. Hands forward. So as soon as you come out of the quarter turn on the forehand, that's a great moment to go hands forward and think of a little bit of a free walk. Good. Let's try to polish that up a little bit so we have the same amount of bend every step and keeping a light feel. You might want to turn just inside the track each time. This is better. Following hand, elbows opening and closing. Okay, so I really appreciate that you're exaggerating the bend, which is what I asked for, but maybe a little bit too much. That was perfect, well ridden. And hands forward. So as soon as you came out of that, your inclination is to grab the rein and balance. No, it should be the opposite. Hands forward and down, and try and get her to stretch. Very good. Very good. You have to love her kind of motivation here. It's quite nice. So Trish, now we're going to change the rein anyhow you like. This is better with the neck. Yeah, this is better with the neck. Change the rein and we'll do the quarter turn on the forehand going the other direction. I like the exaggerated bend for the change of rein. That's exactly what I love. And now going this way, we have a small tilt to the right. Okay, so that was good. She's not as supple this direction, and I want you to think about releasing the outer rein a little bit so the nose can come more to the left. That was better. Good job. Hands forward. She's got plenty enough motivation in the walk. We don't need to send it more forward, but do allow with your hands to go down and forward after the quarter turn so that we can try and get the neck forward. That's better. Good. Okay, back to halt. Well done. So, not today because she's still not very settled, but we're going to add a third component when you practice this at home, and that's slightly slowing down steps before the turn. But she's really wanting to go in a forward direction, so we're not going to aggravate her by bringing her back right off the bat. But that's, I think, you know, when you think of that word physiotherapy, that's a good way to start the bending. And as I said in the beginning, to get that tight body just to give a little bit. Stretching down is one, and then the lateral bend, which you just did, in the neck and the body, getting her just to give a little bit. We're going to do one more maybe exercise in the walk. If you could walk to the end of the arena and turn to the right into the corner. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to do turns that are sort of unusual. Now turn right into the corner. Turn right.
Like
Yeah.
counter bend?
No, just turn there. Turn. That's it. Okay. Now we're going to just stop there. So don't be afraid to turn them into the corner and turn. Don't always stick to nice, easy things, because I find when I judge at the higher levels, I think it's the intensity of the movements. Yeah, just walk a 10-meter circle. You're probably better to walk. It's the intensity every 20 seconds, 10 seconds, we're doing another transition, another movement. And I think if riders don't practice lots of transitions, that alarms them a little bit. Okay, one more circle there. The body is looking a lot nicer here. The neck's getting longer. Trish, we're going to do a leg yield from the track to the quarter line. Leg yielding to the right with a little bit of left flexion. Yeah. Good, and when you get to the quarter line, we're going to circle to the left. Try to get the bend, try to get the longer neck. Very good, well done. Following hand, keep turning. And now we're going to do a leg yield from the quarter line to the center line. Very good. And now circle to the left. Circle to the left, just about 5 meters. Good with the bending, well done. Yeah, this is super. A little bit overbent, but she's using her body well. Now straight ahead and then leg yielding to the right with left bend to the 3/4 line. No, keep going towards the guy on the four-wheeler. And now circle. Okay, good. Let her go on a little bit of a longer rein through the short side. And the next long side, we're going to do the same exercise. At H, leg yielding now to the left with right bend, and at the quarter line, a small 3 to 5 meter circle to the right. Very good. Super. And now circle. I would say ideally circle. Yeah, quarter line. You're past the quarter line, I think. Try to make the leg yield more forward, so it's forward and sideways. Forward and sideways. It's actually harder to add the forward steps. Very nice. And now circle to the right 5 meters. Whenever you can, give with your hands forward and down. That's a nice frame. That's a lovely walk. Okay, you can walk ahead a few steps and then leg yielding to the left to the 3/4 line with just a little right flexion. Very good. That's nicely forward. And a small circle to the right. Excellent. Tell her good girl. And then finally, your final leg yield to the letter F. Very nice. Good. So before we have the next exercise, we're going to just talk about the corners. Let's see if we can get her to stand still. So I can tell by the way that you made your square earlier on that you're one of these riding deep into the corners people. You've been told by your coach, ride deep in the corner. This is dressage. You must go deep in the corner, right? Everyone teaches that. No, stay out of the corner. Stay out of the corner. I'm a judge, and all I can tell you is if you stay out of the corner, you're going to get more marks. Okay? So for a horse like this, who's quite ongoing, if you go too deep in the corner, she's going to get hollow. I think it's quite a challenge with a horse like this to open up that throat latch angle and get her to take the contact forward. So if you round off the corner a little bit, we have a chance of not disrupting that frame if we get it correct. Yeah. Okay, so for sure, as we go up the levels and we have the introduction of collection movements, the expectation is that you should go deeper into the corner, but that doesn't happen until intermediate. So the judge is looking for freedom of the gait, no restriction, and going smoothly, rounding off the corners and instead showing a little bit of bend, like you're on a quarter of a circle, is going to get you better marks. Even the B turn left, E turn right turn, I see some kids slow down and make a square turn like you started on your square without bend. So everything, I would say up to preliminary, ride it almost like you're riding a 4-year-old. Smooth turns, make everything almost like S-bends, rounding the corners. Trying not to interfere with the natural way of the walk and the trot and the canter. And this is how we can improve our scores in competition. That's not to say that in training you shouldn't get them confident with the corner. In training you can go deep into the corner so they're confident about going into the corner. I have a little exercise I like to do in walk and then trot where you do a kind of a figure of 8 in the very end, and you turn them in the corner and go fairly deep, and then a short little diagonal to the other corner, just go back and forth. But in competition, we're talking about competition riding, I'm just suggesting how you can get better marks. So this neck now, even though you don't have any contact, it's now more correct. So I would advise you when you're out trail riding to try and get her to stretch out like this, step 1. And step 2, see if you can get that correct neck with a light feel. Okay, we're going to go back to trot now, and we're going to do a leg yield from K across the diagonal to M. The first one we're going to do in walk so that you can understand the position that I would like. Okay, the neck is getting better. Remember the following hands, the biomechanics of how the horse walks. The nose goes forward and back. She tends to go more up and down. She needs to learn to go forward with her nose, like most horses. And you have to allow with your hands. So in competition, the leg yield, if this was a leg yield in competition, the judges would want to see the horse more parallel to the long side, and you go sort of sideways across the diagonal. Trish, just circle there once, maybe 12 meters. Keep working on that neck. But if you just look at me for a minute, when you go more parallel, the hind legs sometimes do this. They hit, and this is uncomfortable. You have a hiccup in the tempo. The ears go back, and the judge says losing fluency. But if you have the forehand a little bit leading, there's a clear passage for that outside hind to cross in front of the inside hind. So how do we get the forehand to be positioned a little bit leading in the leg yield? You can now do your diagonal. We come out of the turn and go straight towards M, 3 or 4 steps, and now bend left and turn it into a leg yield, but keep the forehand in front. No, the hind, she's parallel and the hindquarters almost leading. Yeah, that's better there. So there's a clear passage now, more forward, not so much sideways. There's a clear passage for the left hind to cross in front of the right hind and not into the right hind. So this is one of my favorite exercises for warm-up with young horses, old horses. Also in competition, the judge doesn't want to see too much bend. You can have a little flexion in the opposite direction, but not bending in the neck. But for me, the training leg yield, which we'll call them training leg yields, I love lots of bend. You can never bend too much in your warm-up phase. Okay, diagonal, better with the neck, well done. 3 or 4 steps and then bend to the right, leave the forehand leading, and turn it into a leg yield. Really much better in the walk now. She's starting to settle and the rhythm is nice. Very good. Now don't pull the nose to the right, but instead vibrate your ring finger in your right hand and just gently encourage her nose to come to the right, and it should be an invisible aid. The position here is perfect, well done. And it's forward and sideways. With any movement in the test riding, that's a lateral movement, when I arrived you were doing shoulder in. Either it's shoulder in, leg yielding, half pass, travers. One of the most important criteria is whatever position your horse can do to keep it the same from start to finish. Same with the leg yield. I love the fact that the position stayed the same from the beginning to the end. Let's do another one this way. So 3 or 4 steps straight. Now practice that, just vibrating your ring finger in your left hand. Hands low and forward so we get the nose out. Okay, this is a lovely forward and sideways leg yield. The forehand is slightly in front of the hindquarter. There it got a little parallel. So this is more encouraging for her. Really nice. She looks like she's having a good time. Trish, posture please. A little bit nicer with your posture. You're looking like you're about to go fox hunting. All right, so let's circle 20 meters. It's at the letter C. And then we're going to do our leg yielding and trot rising. The tempo should, I always like to start a little bit conservative or slower, shorter strides with the tempo while we're learning new things. So in your shoulder in, when the position is a little bit wavering, I noticed it's hard to keep her uniform. When we have a big powerful trot, it becomes more difficult to overcome some of those deficiencies. So always starting out with a little bit of a more conservative trot. Very good with the position. And this is bringing her nose up and out. I quite like how it's changing, gradually changing the neck. She's very comfortable in that leg yield. and most of the steps were fairly consistent. Okay, bend in the corner, and then come out of the corner with another leg yield. So 3 or 4 steps straight, then bending to the left, not pulling your left hand back, but just vibrating the ring finger, nose more forward if you can. Hers, not yours. Very good. So going this way, she's a little bit less supple. We didn't see the fluency that we had in the left leg yield. So I'd like you to change the rein at that end within the circle. Don't pull the neck short. Try to leave the neck out. Very good. Circle. Good. The neck is starting to change. Circle. But you have to keep pushing your hands low and forward to encourage the stretching of the neck. This is a very pretty picture now. Okay, diagonal. The reason we changed the rein up there is so we could go back and repeat the leg yield to the right, which is her weaker way. Very good. Give with the right rein a little bit so the bend can happen. And just everything a little bit softer. Very nice. So Trish, now that you can circle at this end, now she's a little bit looser in her body. She's physically and mentally in a place where we can think about asking for a little more engagement. That usually involves forward and back transitions. The first one we're going to do is actually within the leg yield. So let's repeat the leg yield you've been doing. But over X, we're going to do some building strides within the leg yield. So a short strided leg yield here. And now we can increase the length of the strides, building, not accelerating, building with right bend, hands forward, building. And now in the same tempo, slowing. 1, 2. That was too abrupt with the slowing. It's not actually, we don't ever want to slow the hindquarter, but we are actually going to bigger steps and shorter steps, but bigger and slower just sounds better. Okay, beautiful turn, 3 or 4 steps straight. Give with the right rein, bending to the left, and some building steps. Building, building. A little more, softer with the rein, building. Lovely, and now slowing. Very good. 20-meter circle. Keep pushing your hands forward and down, but you are maintaining a nice consistent tension with the rein, which is very important. Well done. Between A and F, make a very slow progressive transition to walk, but rising trot, no sitting. Rising trot, rising trot, rising trot, rising trot. Very good. So and long rein, get the nose out. So too deep into the corner. Now a 20-meter circle in the middle, so you're not too far. But that 20-meter circle here, so you can hear. But I've been trying to get people this weekend to make those longer progressive transitions. I was pleased with that one because the first transition of the day is normally over 4 steps, and it starts out nicely, and the last 2 are very abrupt. And this is typical with all horses. People make not very good trot walk transitions. And even the last 2, you can see sometimes the horse clamps their tail and sort of collapses into the walk with the hind end. We see it all the time. But in competition, when you do that, that transition will not get you a very good mark, but it also compromises the first step of walk. If the transition is smooth because the body is loose and we're maintaining the activity of the hind end, they're going to go more forward into a marching walk and a ground covering walk. So that was quite nice how you did it. So what I suggest to people is the trot walk, prolong it over 8 steps. Posture, please. Posture, stretch tall like that pine tree. Not 4 steps. going to come back to do a little trot work because I know from when I arrived you're really anxious to work on that shoulder in. But remember, remember the warm-up. Our goals are: number one, relax your horse. Maybe you should go back to walk while I'm talking. Number one, relax your horse. Number two, get him supple. Number three, in front of the aids, forward from the leg, coming back from the half hole. So when I arrived, she was tight and very anxious, wasn't she? And what were you doing? A bad shoulder in. No. Spend lots of time in the walk to relax your horse. And then get her supple. That means the ability to bend and be flexible. So that's why we did all those small circles and leg yieldings and turns on the forehand in the walk as our first exercise. And now we're at the third phase, in front of the leg, forward, forward and back. In the leg yield, our building steps and our reducing steps. We're going to come back to the trot work, but we're going to take this moment to look at the canter. The canter exercise I'd like you to do is change the rein within the circle to canter. Posture, please. Stretch tall. That's it. You can slouch like that when you're driving your truck. But on the horse, just for 50 minutes, try and be in a better posture. So between P and the letter V, like Victor, we're going to do a 20-meter circle. We're going to change the rein within the circle by doing a half 10-meter circle left at P, followed by a half circle right to V. And on the second half circle is where we pick up canter. We're going to do this from trot, so you can pick up trot now. And let's start on our 20-meter circle, hands still, forward and down. So the reason it's important for me, I prefer low hands anyway. We've heard about this straight line, elbow, hand, mouth. This way we can avoid the snatchy rein contact where the pressure on the mouth is tight and loose and tight and loose. We can do a better job following the natural motion of the horse's head and neck in the trot, in the walk and the canter by having that straight line. Okay, the neck is getting better. Well done. Okay, so at P, a half circle left 10 meters, followed by a half circle right 10 meters to V. And the idea is to pick up the canter, not after V, but as you're coming towards the boards. The boards will help you just balance that canter a little bit. Lovely half circle, clear change of bend, canter now, canter now. Whew. Okay, so a little less aid next time. Back to trot, back to trot. So we're going to improve her canter by not cantering round and round and round, but by doing transitions. Very good with the neck, well done. When you get to P, a half circle to the right, followed by a half circle left. And on the second half circle, we pick up canter as you're approaching the boards. Very good, slow with the tempo, and even with the tempo. Canter now. I'm slightly thinking, Trish, okay, back to trot. I'm slightly thinking I'd rather that you not get the canter than over ask. Okay, I'd rather you ask very lightly and softly and have her not respond than to over ask and have her bolt into the canter. I like the rising trot. No, I would stay rising because we can help her find an even tempo with the rising and canter. That was nice. Give her a pat on the neck. Back to trot. So just while you're trotting a 20-meter circle, just listen. So on the canter to the right, the conches want to come into the inside a little bit. We can do either push the haunches out, or we can bring the front end to the inside to line up with the back end. I would do a little of both. Very good with the connection and the frame. This is way better. So in the right lead canter, think of bringing the forehead a little bit in, and think about pushing the haunch out a little bit out. And the amount you have to do that is very minor, okay? It's just a minor adjustment. I want you to trot all the way, please, to the letter V, and we'll do a V, half circle right, followed by half circle left, and then pick up left lead. So we're starting to have a really nice tempo that doesn't change. 1, 2, stay posting. 1, 2, bending to the right, left leg on, bending to the left. Just the change of bend is a very good exercise. Well done. The advantage of this exercise is the horse starts to learn and anticipate the exercise. So we can ask for the canter with a very little aid because they're expecting it. They're learning the exercise. Very good with the neck again. This is beautiful. You'll get some good videos seeing the neck from the beginning to now. Super job. Okay, half circle if you're ready. Left leg on, bending left. Right leg on, bending right. Canter now. Very good. Patter on the neck. Super nice. Back to trot. It looks like she would benefit from canter pulse. And my suggestion is always raised trotting pulse to get kind of more cadence in the trot and articulation of the hocks, but she actually is very nice with her hind end in the trot. But the canter pulse at 9 feet apart might just help you find and help her find a little more balance. This is better. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, back to trot, back to trot. And before we take a break, why don't you see if you can encourage her to stretch in a low frame. Every time she stretches down, even if it's a couple of centimeters, give her a little cuddle on her withers to say thank you. And I do a lot of stroking in the stretch. And in competition, I can often initiate the stretch with that little cuddle on the withers. This is very good. Well done. And I'm very happy that she's not speeding up in the trot as you give the rein down and forward, which they often do. Very nice.
I take lessons from Chris Collins and she does the same thing.
Oh, great. Wonderful. What a good trainer she is. Okay, let's spiral in, making the circle smaller and smaller. Don't have any leg on, keep the stretch, and just let the energy fizzle out and let her just dribble into the walk. Again, this is to encourage the hind end to stay loose without tightness as we go into the walk. Oh, beautiful. That was a beautiful transition to walk where every step remained loose and relaxed. Good riding. That was awesome. So, when you make your notes, you've got some nice video to make your notes from. I want you to include short intervals of good quality. This is the basis behind all of the training with my horses. I hate when I see people going round and round and round and round for 30 minutes sitting in the trot until the horse is in a complete lather and then they get on the next one. Short intervals of good quality so they can think about what we just did and say, hey, that was kind of cool. I really feel like a partner today. And take in the exercise and keep the demeanor between the ears a little bit on the relaxed side. Do you have any questions so far? So I wouldn't do, just yet, I wouldn't do a lot of lengthening and shortening in the canter because you're not going to be successful. She's not quite ready for that. Her trot is a little more established, but the canter, again as a reminder, we're going to improve her balance in the canter. We're going to improve her strength to carry a nice 3-beat rhythm in the canter. We're going to improve that with transitions. Canter, trot, trot, canter, canter, trot, canter. Very nice neck. I'm thrilled how that's changing as she gets more relaxed. Okay, let's go back to trot, and the first exercise will be a serpentine of 3 loops starting at A in trot, and again, I'd like to see this done in rising trot. So Trish, in competition, when we have a change of rein, and it happens throughout the whole test in all gaits, we're always changing the rein. You've got about 3 or 4 steps in which to change the bend in the neck and the body and the flexion. So it's got to be a very, very smooth change from left bend to right bend. And it's got to be within about 4 steps. So here's a very nice left bend and right leg on. So there was a bit of a pull of the right rein as opposed to suppling and vibrating that ring finger on your right hand. So the 4 steps, you should roughly think about, let's think about 6 steps to change the bend. 3 before the center line and 3 steps after the center line. So we need to start a little sooner with the change of bend. Starting now, little right bend, little right bend. Now hold the right bend. Good, down and forward. Think about the tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, and now starting left bend. That was quite good. I'm not sure why we had that reaction. Let's do a serpentine of 4 loops now. So the second loop will end at the letter X. Very good trot. Try to keep that little bit of power so she's pushing into the contact. That was a very good, that was your best change. Your hands were very still and you planned the change of bend. We have to really focus when we're riding horses. Very nice again. Well done. Super job. Super. Really, really good. Okay, let's go large around the arena. I want to just see that you're not going deep into the corner and that you're bending the neck and the body. Good. Now Trish, down the long side, not shoulder forward, but the nose slightly to the right. Perfect. Yep, there. This will help you keep her soft in her mouth and more still with her head. So round off the corner and now add a little bend in the body. Very good. Again, round off the corner, bend in the body. Very good. Down the long side, just flexion. Okay, let's add 5% more power, more energy, slightly more ground cover. Perfect, that's it. Great with the flexion. Round off the corner with bend. And now across the diagonal, MXK, bending, rounding off the corner. Keep that slightly more powerful trot. Now you should be aiming 1 meter to the right of K, so you don't box yourself in the corner and have to go deep. Just diagonal. Nothing fancy, just no leg yielding, just straight in the body. Left bend, left leg on. That was a good corner. And bend again. Good, hands forward and down the long side. Just flexion, just the nose. That's a beautiful trot. You're gonna love that video. And bending in the corner. Super nice. So she's really with you now, isn't she? She's really with you. She's listening and, okay, let's circle again at V. And we're just gonna finish our lesson with another stretch circle. So bend and give and pat her on the neck. Bend her, give and release the rein and pat her on the neck. Bend left and give with both reins and pat her on the neck. Beautiful. Very good. Very good. And remember that slow progressive transition to walk over 8 steps. What a good student you are.
Thank you.
Really nice. Really nice. I love your mare. When the pictures, when the frame is correct and she's relaxed, she has a really great trot. What's so great about it is the regularity of the trot. Regularity means that it's a definite 1-2 with the diagonal pairs. Sometimes horses, the right hind and the left front land together, but sometimes it's a millisecond apart, as opposed to dum, dum, that regularity. That's what regularity is. She's got beautiful regularity in the trot. It's very attractive, and when you get the neck correct, the image is beautiful. It's beautiful. She's a lovely looking horse, but it's a great picture, and you ride her very well.
Yeah, that's exactly what our comments kept being at events. Like our last event, she was cold, wet, rainy, miserable. She was being an absolute cow put at night, and all I got is uptight. I'm like, just
I
take
know.
the contact, please.
I'm not, I promise, Judge, I'm not asking her to be like that.
I know. I'm like, just take the contact, please.
So one thing about the warm-up, when we're used to a lot of 1 days out east, but you guys travel such far distances, you all camp out and you've got more time to prepare for her dressage test. We can't warm up too much for dressage because we've got to do everything in 1 day. So one thing to remember is when you come out of the stall, she's at a new place, she's a little revved up. You can't wear her out physically by lunging for an hour and doing everything that people do. I hate that. But what you can do is make her a little more bored by taking her out of the stall frequently. So I would, maybe hand walk her, put her away. Take her for a hack, put her away. Come out, do just a 15-minute stretching, put her away. And every time you put her away and come back and tack her up again, she's less and less stimulated. But with one warm-up, you might not work through that overstimulation that she showed in the beginning of today's lesson. So think of that, think a little bit outside the box ways to get her more bored, more relaxed, but not just wearing her out physically. Okay, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was awesome.
You're welcome. Really nice.